of class 9 physics. Well, the very first chapter that is being given in your NCERT textbook from the physics portion, of course, is motion. So today we will start with this chapter. Okay, so before we start this video lesson, I just want to mention over here is that you can pause the video anytime and take notes of the important points, the definitions, the sums, the numericals, the graphs, whatever I shall teach you through this video lessons. Okay, so it is important for you to note down because it will help you to recapitulate whatever you learn through this video lessons. Okay, so let's get started. Alright, so in this video lesson today we will learn about certain introductory things regarding motion. Then we will see what is a reference point. Then we will see what are the things required to describe motion. Then we will see what are the different types of motion, like uniform, non-uniform, like that. Okay. Alright, so in our everyday life we see many objects which are at rest and other objects which are in motion. For example, birds are flying, fishes are swimming, the bloods that rush into our arteries and veins, and then the planets that move around the sun. So all these are giving us an idea about the motion of various objects. Okay, and however there are certain objects which do not change their position, so they are said to be in rest. However, in the language of physics or in terms of physics, most motion and rest are relative terms. That means they are relative to each other. You cannot just define absolute rest, or you cannot just define absolute motion. There is nothing like absolute rest in this universe. For example, if I say that you and your friend are standing on the surface of earth, okay, for you your friend is at rest, okay, but if a third person is looking at both of you from the space, then he will see that both of you are moving. Why? Because the earth is rotating and as well as it is revolving around the sun. So for the third person who is looking both of you from the space, for that person you are not at rest, you are in motion. But for both of you, I mean for you and your friend is in rest with respect to you, as well as you are in rest with respect to your friend. So that is why motion and rest are relative terms. Okay. Alright, sometimes we also perceive motion through indirect evidences. For example, if a wind is blowing, then how will you understand? We will understand it with the help of the movement of the leaves of the trees, right? So this is one indirect evidence. Then an object may appear to be moving for one person and stationary for some other person. Now this is called relative motion, as I have explained in the previous slide also. Relative motion is a condition or is a thing where we see if one person is in motion for one particular person, then that person may be rest for another person. Like for example, you and your friend are sitting inside a compartment of a train, and a third person is looking at both of you, who is standing just outside the station. So for the third person, both you and your friend are moving along with the train, but for you but for your friend, both of you are in rest. Okay, so this is called relative motion. It changes when you see it from different perspectives. Okay, if you're standing outside the station, outside the train, then you'll feel that the person is also moving, the train is also moving. Okay, but if you just compare your position and your friend's position, both of you are in rest. Another example is when you move in a train or move in a car, you feel like the trees and the buildings are moving in the backward direction when you just see outside from the window. But in actual, the trees and the buildings are in rest. So this is one example of relative motion. Alright, so next we have reference point. It is very important in order to specify the position of an object, and for that we need reference point. What is a reference point? It is any object that is not moving, anything which is stationary, which is not moving, and can be used to describe the position of another object. For example, if I say you have to move 2 kilometers towards north from your house, okay, so your house can be a reference point because you have to start from a point. As like another example is suppose you want to plot graph in graphical representations. then you have to choose a point called origin. Okay, that origin is the reference point, because from the origin we will know how much we have to move through the x-axis and how much we have to move through the y-axis. Okay, so anything stationary, anything still, we can refer to as the reference point. Okay, so this is one example where you will understand the concept of reference point. Suppose there is a tree, and if this tree is the reference point, then we can take this tree as the origin. Then there is a dog which is on the right hand side of the tree, and there is a bird which is on the left hand side of the tree. So we can say that the dog is at a position of +1 meters from the tree, and the bird is at a position of -4 meters from the tree, because if we consider the tree to be at the origin. So this is the concept of reference point. Okay, so my dear students, that's all for today's video class. I hope you have understood certain concepts regarding motion. If you have any doubts, any queries regarding today's video session, you can just freely comment me in the comment box, and we will discuss certain other things in the part 2 of this part 2 video lesson of this chapter of course. Till then, take care. Thank you.